Yeah, alright. I do have like a couple stuff that's happened over actually this week, like the Overwatch and 4 months ago the Dead or Alive uh thing. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh yeah, there's more problems in the gaming industry, the booth babes. Actually, I'm not afraid to get offensive, but
Right.
my channel is mostly Mortal Kombat stuff since I've been playing
I
since I was
noticed. I noticed you're really big on the whole fighting game, huh?
yeah.
Okay.
I've been playing since I was like 2.5, and some really pissed me off about Mortal Kombat. The DLC or microtransaction crap, and eh, I'm sorry, it's not like I hate gays or anything, but it's Kung Jin being gay and how they actually flat out said, yeah, he's gay, but that it had no significant role to it. It's
Right. It didn't change anything with the gameplay. Um, it didn't change. It didn't do any significant changes to the plot other than changing it just for the sake of changing it and making some people happy. Right?
yeah. What was it? Or I do remember the story mode when I played it. They actually sort of said that he was gay, but I didn't like how they flat or said it. Like they said, Raiden said something about like you can join the Shaolin, and he said I can't, and he was like, it's not where your heart goes or some shit like that. I'm like, all right, one, they could have said something about that, like. I mean, like, he was a thief, and that could be, like, a reason why he couldn't join the Shaolin, but are you kidding me? Because he's gay, or he can't join it. And I'm like, ugh. And me and my uncle were talking about it, and we were saying I was saying, yeah, there's a gay character in this game, and he's like, what? But dude, this is a fighting game where you kill people. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And he says, I can't believe they're actually implementing this crap into it. And I'm like, yeah, because he does a lot of stuff, but I follow more in the gaming industry, and he just, or sorry, not he, and I just hate a lot of stuff that's happening now in the gaming industry, like Brianna Wu, Anita Sarkeesian, which some would talk about them. Oh geez, freaking like everything, like IGN, Kotaku, and shit, and Metacritic and everything. Um, hmm. And Overwatch. Oh my god, dude, that happened this weekend. I do remember that. My god, what a shit show that was. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I think it was Blizzard, is it? That's making the new game Overwatch.
Yes, that's a Blizzard game.
Yeah. So what happened is feminists were talking about like Tracer, and if you guys don't know what that is or who Tracer is, it's basically a game character that they made, and she had this little pose, and it showed her buttocks, or ass, whatever you want to call it, and they made such a big deal about it, and I saw this video. I forget what it was titled, but it showed everything, like every time they showed a man's ass, and it was like Batman, I do remember, Spider-Man, let's see, what else was it? It was, let's see, Batman, Spider-Man, I think Deus Ex was in there, I believe. I'm trying to think of who was actually in it because I watched it last night, and then they showed the one picture of it being a Tracer's butt, and it has feminists like giving out that death stare, and then Yeah, there it is. It's by the Crafty Ape. Or the video is called "What Will Feminists Allow You to Show in Video Games?" Yeah, Metal Gear Solid, Gears of War, Spider-Man. Let's see, Warframe.
Oh yeah,
Lion High
Warframe's got a
Horse.
lot of curvatures to it.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, I own a PS4 and I played that game. I'm like, Jesus Christ, did they really have to put emphasis on my guy's ass? I'm like, Nightwing. Oh God, fucking Nightwing on Arkham. Shit, what game came out? Arkham Knight, I believe it was the newest game that they come out with. Um, yeah, I've played some of that or at a friend's house, and they showed so much ass, and then there was this one, and it was a feminist, like she had glasses, she had like this death stare kind of thing, and it says triggered. It had like trigger warning, and she got so pissed, and it was so funny. And they put in the video they put a check mark on every guy that showed his ass, and for Tracer they put an X on it because that's basically not allowed in video games, which I do feel that that's completely bullshit. Um, and I do remember that, and I remember all the hate or all the love it was giving, like and I do remember this claim, like I think it was like a feminist with an 8-year-old child that said, "Oh, he or she cannot play this because it shows the buttocks." I'm like, or some guy said, that's a T-rated game, so they shouldn't even be allowed to be playing that. And you're getting offended because your 8-year-old kid can't see an ass. I do feel it's bullshit. What do you think
Yeah.
about it?
Everybody poops. Everybody's got a butt. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are definitely some games and some artists out there that put a lot more emphasis on it, and sometimes it's not really needed by any means. But as far as what they did, especially with Overwatch, since a lot of this revolves around Overwatch, since that's more current, what they did to Tracer was completely unfair because tons of her other poses and her model in general shows off a butt in a skin-tight pant. There are several other characters that have uh, overly emphasized buttocks.
Wait a minute, I know what you're talking about. I think
The
character's name
sniper
is
character
Widowmaker.
Widow, I think,
Yeah, Widowmaker.
and
Uh,
it's completely unfair and unwarranted as to why they decided to specifically pick out one character out of all of it. Because if you're going to change one thing, if you give them a mile, then they're going to take the whole thing, and it's going to keep going. It's going to keep getting worse. There was actually another thing that they changed in Overwatch, where they had a small outhouse. I don't know if you know about this one, but there was a small outhouse in one of the maps, and from underneath the doorway, there was some magazines that were kind of like spread out from underneath the doorway. And if you opened up the door, you can kind of see like a picture of the magazine, and the magazine had a few of the women characters on it. So that's pretty much making a nod and a joke at someone was looking at porn in the bathroom, and they decided to take out that magazine and just leave the outhouse as normal with nothing in it whatsoever, simply because one person went on their forums and complained about it. The this newer generation of people that thinks that just every little thing in a video game needs to be edited to make like a safe space for them is absolutely mental. You're playing a game that's about killing each other nonstop,
well,
and you have sorry, and you have and you have tons of people that are playing these games that are extremely violent, and the very first thing that they're complaining about is women's butts.
and
It
I'm sorry to bring this in here, but like nonstop killing people and all that. That brings my point to Kung Jin. Like, you are nonstop beheading and ripping people's bodies apart, and you want, or all you care about is just a gay character being on that game. Like, it makes no goddamn sense at all. And yeah, I mean, they shouldn't have done that. Or it was a little joke, and people can't, or well, especially feminists, they can't take jokes anymore. And I will say this: I am 16, but I don't like the change that is happening now, and I fear for my generation of everything because we are so overly sensitive about everything. Like everything needs to be changed, and like you said, like into a safe space. And I feel that that is actually kind of bullshit. Uh, oh man. Um, and speaking about butts and shit, 4 months ago, I think I've been only been on YouTube for about 6 months, and I do remember this. 4 months ago, Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball,
Hmm.
I think it was three. It had not been, or it didn't come to release in America. You had to actually go to Play Asia and import it from Japan. Oh my fucking god. Oh,
Yeah, if
holy
there's one thing that
shit.
flies a little bit more in Japan, it's their I guess their rules and regulations over what can be made into a video game and what it revolves around. And don't get me wrong, I mean sometimes they go a little too overboard, like with Hyper Neptunia and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, our developers could definitely take, I guess, a little bit of an example as far as if you are a creator and you were to make something that's an original vision for your creation, are you really going to allow so many people to tell you to change what you wanted as your original vision, despite it being sexist in some kind of way, simply because this demographic that's not even something you're reaching out for, uh, what they care about. They're telling you that you can do this and that you can't do that, and it's like, well, wait a minute, are you guys really even gonna pay attention to my game? Then why do y'all care? Why are y'all
Yeah.
making such a big fuss if y'all aren't even the ones that are going to buy and play the game? And too many devs nowadays want to cater to a bunch of these people that actually don't even buy or play these games. There was actually I forgot what the name of the game was. It was a game that was heavily endorsed by Anita Sarkeesian, and
Mirror's Edge Catalyst, I think it was.
uh,
I think that's what it was. She had like something to do with it, like
no, 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 no,
it
no. You're
was
thinking of Tower Descent, something like that. Um,
oh
no, another one. It was another one. It was kind of like one of those 8-bit or 16-bit pixel indie
okay.
side-scroller adventure games or whatever. And she
Yeah,
was
I
she
remember
was
that.
talking about how this game was the perfect example of how to portray a strong female role model and all this other kind of stuff and
What was
and
that?
blah blah blah, the story and everything else. And it's like, okay, fine, well, you're endorsing that game. And the hilarious part is that even after Anita decided to endorse that game and tell tons of people about it in her video, the sales for it didn't even jump. It didn't even have a minor spike. It's because none of those people actually care about having strong female role models in video games. That just care about changing specific things. Like,
Yeah.
how can you tell me that I should change my game if you've already shown proof that you don't care about any of the games that do give you what you're looking for? How?
Yeah, and it really does piss me off because I do remember the term talk with your money, and they should have or I probably wouldn't have played it, but I mean there are a lot of people here in the United States that really wanted to play Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball 3 and are not able to because one person talked out and now nobody can have it, and it's like, seriously, what happened to the term talk with your money? Don't buy the damn game, just fucking don't. And I mean, what's happening now is just, and about that game, I do know what you're talking about now. It's or I do remember, I think it was Alpha Omega Sin who talked about it. I do watch a lot of his videos, but I mean, oh shit. I do remember, or before this, everybody, I did watch the or a couple of his videos. And I mean Bob's, and it's the video game is corrupt and mindless. Uh, Yeah, talk about the fucking shit that Brianna Wu made. She made one goddamn game, and she wants to talk shit about everything.
She wants to talk about everyone's games and how hard it is being a game developer these days. And I'm gonna say he because I just hate Brianna Wu,
Yeah.
and Brianna Wu is just someone that you don't want to associate yourself with, especially after the whole Metroid fiasco with Brianna
Oh my
Wu,
god. Yeah,
or
where she
Flint,
called
as I should
Samus
call him. Um,
trans.
the
Yeah.
this person is a game developer, or half of one, if you even want to consider that person a decent game developer. Made a cell phone game, that charges $5 to get this game, and then this person decides to nonstop complain about how video games are sexist and all this other kind of stuff, when every single one of the characters in that person's game that they have made is skinnier than any possible woman could possibly be, and has curves and large breasts and a large butt and everything like that. How can you tell other people how to make video games when you're not even setting an example in your own? And then, not to mention, you're making this entire game by yourself, and you're acting like it's so difficult to do, and it's one cell phone game. You made a cell phone game. You're not making anything else, and it really bugs me how this person is acting like they have this major opinion on everything, and then they keep getting attention. I don't know why they're getting attention.
Yeah.
It's like the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. That's all it is.
Yeah.
The loudest one gets the attention, and Brianna Wu or Flint knows how to be loud.
Yeah, freaking, I do remember when they said that Samus was transsexual. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You guys are clamoring about, oh, we want a strong female lead in video games. That's your fucking strong female lead. That's that's the number one female character that I could think of on the top of my head that isn't Bayonetta. And you guys say that whoever made Bayonetta is sexist, when actually Bayonetta is made by a woman. Fuck. Just, it fucking irks me because it's like, how about you guys make the game and fucking Phil Fish, I remember the shit he did,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a year ago where he he thinks he's all shit when he's made one goddamn game, and I remember everybody supporting, Fez 2, I think it was, and then he's like, oh no, you guys are not getting it because people talk shit to me.
Yeah, you're not a decent game developer. You're not God's gift to Earth because you made or helped make a single video game that sold somewhat decently. And then it's hilarious now if you actually look at where Phil Fish is at right now. He's actually like some kind of DJ, and all he does is carry around his Apple
Fucking
laptop.
glasses.
No, he
Oh.
just carries around his Apple laptop. Like, that's it. That's all he does to DJ.
Uh, um, but yeah, speaking of Phil Fish and Nita Sarkeesian, holy shit, Gamergate. I didn't find out what fucking Gamergate was until, I say about 8 months ago. I actually realized what it really was because, in my mind, it was torn between feminism, and then I've actually found out the real side of it, which is the ethics in journalism. And I stopped, or I did watch let's see, I watched your video about 8 months ago, and about that month before, my first video I watched of you was either the Japanese developers or the GameStop one, and man, I remember a month before that I bought a subscription to the fucking Power Up card, and I felt like, oh my god, why did I fucking do that? And I just, or now I get these Game Informers now, and every page I turn is like a 10 out of 10, 8 out of 5, 9 out of 5. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, seriously? How are all these games getting 8 out of 5s and 10 out of 10s and shit? And when I actually do play them, they're the shittiest games I've ever fucking played. And it's, and I'm like, how did, like, and this ties in with Gamergate. I'm like, whose dick do you have to suck to fucking get a 10 out? 10 game. I'm like,
More like how much money do you have to give?
Yeah.
You know.
Now that everybody's figured out that, or who was it? It's not Mario. Who was it? That, or the game developer shit. Who was she? That fucked the guy for
You're not talking about Zoe Quinn, are you?
Yes, I am. That's what I was like. Oh man, she had a name like one of my favorite superhero characters. And yep, Zoe Quinn. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's what her name is. But yeah, that's why I don't read Kotaku. That's why I don't do IGN. If I'm gonna do anything, I'm actually gonna go to someone small and will actually talk shit about the game, so that I actually get a feel of what the game is really like. Not everybody's like, oh, it's so inspiring and everything, when it's actually really not. Oh, fuck.
Oh man, let's leave Zoe Quinn out of this because she's already been talked to death, and it's gonna be nothing but not video games. Like this whole chat's gonna turn into not video games. Let's see. Now, as far as the sexism and everything, I'm pretty sure that we got a large majority of that out the way. It's pretty self-defeating, especially when you complain about one particular thing in a video. You can't go into a video game and then look at one particular female and say that she needs to be changed, but then that would mean that everyone else is also offensive in the video game as well. I mean, you can't. It's with the Tracer thing. It's just self-defeating. Like this is stupid logic. This isn't even logic. It's just idiocy. You also said you had something about DLC and everything that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat, and it's oh Jesus, and I want to say I don't blame Ed Boon for doing this. I'm actually blaming Warner Brothers. I think I did it in the PC petition video for Mortal Kombat that I did. What was it? Oh yeah, the microtransaction, like the easy fatalities. Like even my friends that never played Mortal Kombat before know how to do the goddamn fatalities. Like, you guys seriously need to fucking penny pinch us to buy your shitty microtransactions so you guys can get even more money out of us. And I mean, it's just fucking complete bullshit that they actually have done this to countless games. Like I hate Call of Duty now, and even though I have Black Ops 3, that my brother bought that shit. Yeah, microtransactions, personalization packs, supply drops, fucking more classes, more emblems. Oh, Jesus Christ! Like, do we really need all this extra shit? In Mortal Kombat, the crypt unlock, like, now it's getting to the point where games are now, you can do 100% completion by just paying like $15.99. Oh my god. I just hate how this industry is going in. I mean, I hate to go back to feminism, but we have more I actually wrote this down in my notebook. We have more problems in the gaming industry, like ethics and journalism, and bad companies like GameStop, EA, Konami, and Capcom, and politicians having no idea what they're talking about, like the GTA, the God of War, and sexism. And I'm like, and that's actually what I did write down. I'm like, yeah, I actually
And yet,
agree with
despite
that. Like, we have more fucking problems than that shit. I mean, Capcom, what they did with Street Fighter V, oh my god. Like, they made the beta like so good, and then, and I do remember this. This is actually sort of a new title, but Battlefront. I don't know if you played Battlefront at all.
Battlefront.
But I do remember having
Oh,
a
yeah.
disc of Star Wars Battlefront 2. I actually had the disc version of it, Battlefront 2, and I remember it being so fucking fun on the computer, and
Oh yeah, I loved Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2 was fantastic.
and then it met EA, and fuck. And I just remember playing the free beta, and I thought it was so cool that we actually get to have like a Battlefield graphics with Star Wars. I'm like, this is probably gonna be an amazing game. And when it actually dropped, we get no guns at all. We get no maps. We get nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I feel like now that I am like a lot younger, that now like everything that I loved is now going to shit because of today's age. Uh, and people who are catering, like companies who are catering to people that probably won't even watch it, like what was it, Ninja Turtles, I think was the main one. Like that's the second thing I loved the most was Ninja Turtles. And then when Michael Bay came out with that film, I almost left the film, or left the movie. Jesus.
It did not get good ratings. I know that. I didn't actually see it myself.
Oh,
After what Michael Bay did to Transformers, I wasn't exactly happy. I
yeah,
get it. I get it. The special effects for the Transformers look really
yeah,
cool, and all the special effects and the animations and stuff like that. But turning Optimus Prime into Jesus didn't exactly help me uh, attune with Transformers and how I treated it as a kid. Like I grew up with a lot of Transformers. I still have a really old Optimus Prime. I still have Beast Wars and stuff like that. Beast Wars is
wow,
when they were animals and stuff like that. I still have all those
yeah,
Transformers, and so like Michael Bay comes along and he's like, guys, look, I did Transformers, and it's like, oh really? And I watched the first one and I'm just like, what have you done?
yeah,
What have you done? And I didn't see the second one. And someone tried explaining the second one to me, and they're like, no, I really loved it. It was really cool. And I was like, oh yeah, well, what was Optimus Prime like this time around? And he's like, oh yeah, he died, but then he came back. And I was like, what?
yeah. He went like super, or I actually think I own that movie. It was the first Transformers movie I've watched, and I'm like, this shit makes no sense. And if you want to talk about fucking racism, they made these two like I think they were Fiat cars with, or they had like black voices. And I'm like, oh, what the hell, man? And
I think I saw clips of that. They were like, oh, yo, man, that's whack, and all this other kind of
yeah,
shit, right?
yeah, and I do remember this. One of the fucking Transformers started humping Megan Fox's leg. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
One of them really did that.
Yeah, one of the, or I think it was like a remote control car, and he turned into like a transformer and started humping Megan Fox's leg. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And speaking about blacks, the Ninja Turtle movie, I will tell you this: never watch it, because you'll never see it or see them the same again, because I remember them as the like Hawaiian like dudes, like the Hawaiian New Yorker dudes. They're now into like rap and Jesus.
In other words, like every single one of us, pretty much like a really strong, typical black stereotype.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see, Mikey. Oh, Jesus Christ, that Mikey scene. Or even Shredder. Oh my God, they fucked him up so much because they made him look like a transformer. And I'm like, why are you guys catering to these people? I went to watch some nostalgic. I remember when they fucking said like Teenage Mutant Ninja Aliens. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, man? And what was it? There was another thing that I remember. What was it? I do remember that Grimm, like, I do remember back then in 2012 when they were making like one of the first scripts, and like a leaked picture, and it was like all the four turtles like standing on like these on this like sharp stuff. And I remember like seeing that. I'm like, oh dude, we are going to get a Batman like Ninja Turtle, which if you guys really don't know about me, I really do want a classic Ninja Turtles movie, like where they actually kill people, smoke, freaking cuss. I want everything back from like the old comics into a movie, and I really would like a Ninja Turtle game with killing in it, not just like animated blood. I mean like actual red blood. But that's besides the point. And I just feel that like everything I love is going to shit. Like especially the video games. Like holy crap, so many video games that I've loved as a kid is going to shit. What was it? Let's see, Def Jam. I remember playing that like in 2005. I remember when that first came out and I played it, and EA, of course, fucked it up again, and they made DJ or Def Jam an icon, and I'm like, dude, what is this? It's not even the same game anymore. And let's see what else. I'm trying to think of some games. Or Mega Man. I they've kind of ruined him, and who else did they fucking ruin? I'm trying to think of games they've ruined on the top of my head. I don't know.
EA?
What do you think? Yeah, or no, not EA, but I mean like, or oh shit, I forgot all about that. Silent Hill from Konami, and Capcom, or I should say fucking Crapcom, with Resident Evil. Now, I will say this, I do kind of hate Resident Evil 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when everything started to become more action. And
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. There wasn't really much of a horror element in Resident Evil 4. Sure, everything still looked gritty and dark and stuff like that, but you never really felt the need for supplies or anything like that, or to like save up anything like that. You know, there were tons of like herbs and different med kits and stuff, generally just to buy, through the vendor and everything else. You always kind of had ammunition for something, at least.
yeah, and I remember that Resident Evil, I would say 2 was my first horror game. And then it was Resident Evil 3, and then 1. I hit it way out of fucking order. But, and then after that, I started playing Silent Hills, and I was truly terrified of those. And then Resident Evil 4, 5, oh, Jesus, 6, came in, and I'm like, what even is Resident Evil anymore? Are you guys trying to go for Call of Duty, or are you guys trying to go for survival horror? Like, and I mean, what was it? I think it was Alpha Omega Sin that said, this sort of thing, like, people who buy Resident Evil, buy Resident Evil. People that buy Call of Duty will buy Call of Duty. Or Call of Duty people will not fucking buy Resident Evil, and that is truth. Jesus Christ. I just feel that it's all bullshit, that everything I do love is now going to shit because of all these pestering assholes that think they know what the hell they're doing, and they just fuck up. And that goes to your Japanese developer video. Like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
It also goes to what the current, I guess, trends are in the market. Because if you look at what's happening with Final Fantasy, they're not really focusing so much on
RPG, I guess.
Yeah, they're not really focusing on the whole RPG aspect anymore, and I don't entirely blame them, because I mean the actual systems and everything that run these things can do a whole lot more, and you don't always need to do anything that's turn-based. You can do things that are more intense, but the trends, like one of the big things with Square Enix was fashion, and how they want to design their characters and stuff like that, based on current hair fads and clothes fads and what's the hot car at the time and all that kind of stuff. And it shows with the newest Final Fantasy how easily these devs cater to uh, current fads and stuff like that just for the sake of probably getting some more sales. Like, like if you look at
Yeah.
the newest Final Fantasy, you look at the four main characters, and all of them are wearing black. All of them have extremely slick and or gelled hair. All of them are kind of just the same. And besides like a few color tone changes and some height, they're kind of the same. And
Yeah.
you're thinking, why did these devs change what their original ideas and dreams were about, especially like with Resident Evil? When they changed to Resident Evil 4, it wasn't entirely all that bad, but it definitely was the snowball that turned into an avalanche, because Resident Evil 5 was definitely an action title. Yeah, there was no immersive kind of horror element to it or anything like that. The only time that you ever really got scared in Resident Evil 5 is whenever you were low on HP and you got surrounded. That was it. There wasn't any kind of loom and doom like with the older Resident Evils, like in the mansion or anything like that. You didn't know what was going to be behind that door or what was going to be around that corner. And too many of these devs are losing touch with what the original product and what the original fan base, like the loyal people, and what made your product such a big thing. They're losing touch with that, and it also goes to show with the recent Silent Hill that got canned.
Oh shit.
And
Oh man.
when it was first shown off, I mean, tons of people were excited for it. Tons of people were excited for it. A next-gen Silent Hill that might not suck, fantastic. Like, tons of people latched onto it. It wasn't something that was quickly made for the Wii to cash in on that. It wasn't some side project that was made for PSP or anything like that. This was going to be a full-blown Silent Hill game, and tons of people were excited for it, especially when you have one of the lead actors from Walking Dead as the main character. And okay, yeah, sure, that was going to attract some more people, but it looked like they were going to try and stay true to what the original Silent Hills were about, and I was even excited for it. And they
Yeah.
they canned it. They canned it uh, because Konami decided to look at their numbers, and instead of focusing on video games anymore, they wanted to be a digital entertainment company instead of a video game company, and they wanted to make more slot machines and things like that. And they made a Dungeons and Dragons slot machine, and they made a Berserk slot machine, and all this other kind of stuff. And they're focusing on making digital entertainment more than they are with video games, simply because they're noticing that there's more money to be had. And their company wasn't dying by any means. Their company wasn't losing money. They just wanted more money. And instead of investing in solid video games that sell tons, I mean, sure, Phantom Pain definitely made its money back and even made
Yeah.
profit. So what's the problem here? Like, why would you want to scrap all of that? And you got someone who's one of the lead heads in the game industry for making the entire series, Kojima, and you want to tell him we don't want you to work for us anymore? Like, why?
Yeah.
It's because they're going with these trends for more money instead of just making a solid basis for a product.
Yeah, freaking I do remember that, and I forgot to say Silent Hills. The only reason why I got a PS4, like one of the main reasons why I got a PS4, or back then, not we're talking like I think a year and a half ago, um, or when the PT actually came out. The only reason was actually not Mortal Kombat X. I don't think that was even revealed until that September, like around my birthday, September 1st. But I do remember, like, because I was an avid uh, Walking Dead watcher. I still watch it today, which I might not after this season, but I, I, I love Norman Reedus as an actor, and I watched I think it was Boondock Saints with him in it, and thought he was really good at that. But I was more hyped up that Hideo Kojima was actually in it, because we don't see, or now that the old games are coming back, we don't see like the original teams anymore, like Team Silent anymore, because they've mostly left Konami, and that was actually a smart thing to do for them to freaking leave that company. Oh my god, that company's went to shit. But Silent Hills was like our thing, or like everybody's thing. That's like it had to happen because with everything that's happening in the gaming industry, that was basically something that was going to help it really, really much. And now that now that they shit-handed on, and I am still pissed about Konami doing that, and I can't believe they actually had someone, uh, like the head of Konami, they promoted him even though he said I am not a big fan of video games when that was their biggest fucking thing, and I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. And I see this picture on Facebook, and it has some anime girl holding up a sign that says I don't need sex anymore because Konami fucks me every day. And that's what was going around when Silent Hills got canned. And I'm like, holy shit, they actually did do that. And I'm like, alright, they canceled it. PT might actually still be in the store. No, they removed every fucking trace of that game. I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. The one thing that actually might have helped the gaming industry is now gone forever. I'm like, holy shit.
Well, Kojima might be trying to make his own development studio because even though Kojima wanted to be more of a movie director than a video game director, which definitely shows in the amount of cutscenes and story he's willing to put into his video games, he still knows that there's a decent fan base and people that love him for the video games that he's made, and he's talked about it. You know, he might be doing some things in the works. He might be making his own, studio to help kind of work out the kinks, but that's still a lot of money, and Kojima might not have it. He needs people to back him up on that. Yeah, but I don't understand where Konami is going with their, I guess, their business plan, but I don't see them coming out better because of it whatsoever. In fact, tons of people actually hate them now. When I went into a casino and I saw one of the Konami lottery games, I didn't touch it. Hell, I didn't see a whole lot of other people touch it anyway because I didn't know anything about it. It was like Dungeons and Dragons. No one else was really touching it. Maybe like a few older people would go up to it and use it, but old people, they see a slot machine anyway, they're probably going to use it. But I just ignored it. Like I didn't think that was fair. I'm looking at this thing and I'm watching some of the animations and stuff, and it's something that you would see for a cell phone. It's a higher quality cell phone game. It's a cell phone game with slots.
Yeah, even I keep on seeing this at my school, and they have like the tournaments, like the Magic the Gathering tournaments. My high school does have those, and I hear these Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm like, oh fuck no, you're gonna promote Konami, because what I did find out is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is owned by Konami, and I'm like, you know what? I'm actually gonna stop buying their fucking cards. I'm gonna tell everybody to stop buying their fucking cards. After what happened with, or I don't wish that they died, but I wish that Konami will go down to the ground in a pile of ashes. I really do wish that, and I mean, the thing about Silent Hills is that I've been waiting for a good Silent Hill game for a very, very long time, and I was at a friend's house, and we played PT, and he even had a good headset, and he put it on my ears, and I just heard every freaking sound, and I completed it. I remember completing PT, and they had the cutscene like the dad was such a drag. He ate the same kind of food, and I just like, dude, that is awesome. And they played the scene where Norman Reedus is walking through the street, and I just got so many chills down my spine because it was fucking creepy. And I'm like, dude, this is going to be an awesome game. And then when they shit-canned it, I'm like, no, Why did you do this? That was gonna make you so much goddamn money. Like, I think it wasn't Ganasum, but it was Flash Gits, and it was or either the console wars, or no, it was the Halo 5 party. I do remember it now, and it was Microsoft, and Halo 5 is in mother's womb, and actually a foot comes out. He's like, no, stick it back in there. It's gonna make me so much goddamn money. And I'm like, wow, that is actually truth about the gaming industry. Like, that's all they care about is the freaking money. And
Well, in their defense, I mean, I don't want to be the devil's advocate here, but they are a business and they do need to make money to survive.
yeah, but to push it so hard, like, to even like destroy some that would give in a lot of money. I'm gonna say this right now. If Silent Hills had come out like probably this year, I would have said that, oh my god, the money that they would make, like, it probably would reach to fucking billions if, oh god. But yeah, I mean, it would have made them so much money. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. They have to make money somehow, but they can't force it down our throat like the microtransactions and shit like that. They can't keep on doing that, or God forbid, like what was it, the 89 crash, or no? What year did they have the crash, and then because of like, it wasn't because of ET, but it was because they did a lot of shitty stuff.
Apparently, it was 1983, a few years before I was born, so I
Oh,
wasn't really around, nor did I experience it. But from what what I've understood over the years is that it came because tons and tons and tons of these developers and publishers and stuff like that were investing so much into new systems and games, and there were so many out there, but not enough people were paying for them, and eventually it just started going downhill because they just keep coming out with more and more trash. They just kept pushing it out. I mean, you can't come out with a console and then a year or two later come out with another console and just keep doing it, keep expecting people to buy it. But
yeah.
that's what happened. That's why there were so many game consoles in the 80s and early 90s. It's just there were so many that were made, too many to count. There was at the time over 20 different video game consoles
Yeah,
for that
Jesus.
period in time, and every single one of them had their own games and stuff. So tons of these devs and stuff like that just weren't making any money because there were just not enough people paying for it. Just they crashed, and the few that did survive, like Nintendo and stuff like that, they survived simply because um, I guess bigger audience. They stretched out to a bigger audience. They had their own magazine like Nintendo Power and stuff like that. When it came to like the Sega Saturn and everything like that, sure, it had a little bit of clout, but it started going downhill because they weren't really coming out with anything new or really pushing their system. They just kept kind of attaching on things to their older system, and their handheld system, while it may have been fun for a while, was a battery eater. It was insane.
Yeah, alright, I will say this. I still have my or I have my Game Boy Color and Game Boy Original from like, the first version of it. But I have a Sega Dream or Game Gear, sorry. I have a Sega Game Gear, and Jesus Christ, 6 fucking batteries for that thing. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna use a wall charger. And I actually found out that the charger for the PS2 actually works on it, so now I could play Sonic on my Sega Game Gear. But speaking about handhelds, the reason or the reason why I'm not in the console war, like, I don't, or I am preferably with Sony, but I do have like a lot of soft spots for Microsoft. But I'm starting to learn that now. Sony is making so many shitty um, decisions. Like, the one I'm most pissed off about was the PlayStation Vita, because I am an owner of one, and
Mhm.
I oh Jesus, it's hard to talk about it because, like, I am so passionate about the PlayStation Vita. Like, It's a really good handheld. I mean, even more powerful than a fucking 3DS. And then I think I think about I say 9 months ago they announced that it's now a legacy console. I'm like, how are you guys gonna do this? You guys didn't do anything for it to survive. I'm like, how the fuck are you gonna say like, oh, we can't do anything about it when you didn't do anything to begin with? Like, my friends actually wanted to get a PS Vita and play with me on a couple games because the games I played, even though they are indie, I play like Super Meat Boy, fucking Hotline Miami 1 and 2. Those are, or Hotline Miami 1 and 2 are my favorite fucking games in the whole entire world. Like, it's Mortal Kombat, fucking, shit. Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, and Hotline Miami 1 and 2. When I played 2, I cried at the fucking ending because it really did hit me in the goddamn gut. And I'm like, how are you guys going to do this to something that has potential in it? Like, it has so much goddamn potential to be something. I mean, the PS Vita I really do love, and I'm very compassionate about. But they did everything to fuck it up. They made the memory cards overpriced. They didn't release many games for it, which it does have a large library, but people don't know about it. Like, Gravity Rush is the only thing that comes to people's mind when it comes to PlayStation Vita games. And now that's getting ported to PS4. Like, and I'm like, why? Why'd you guys even release it if you guys weren't even going to support it in the beginning?
It's because it's like this. Like, Sony has to compete with somebody other than Microsoft because you have these three titans, especially in the console wars. You have
Yeah.
Microsoft, you got Sony, and then you got Nintendo. And even though Microsoft doesn't have a handheld, they still have their phones, their tablets, they have
Yeah.
their PC market since a lot of people use their OSs, and they don't really need to worry about the handheld. And if Sony doesn't compete with Nintendo for a handheld, Nintendo's gonna spread their handhelds everywhere. Everyone's going to be buying more Nintendo products. But if you come out with a competitive handheld, since that's your only competition, and you try and push graphics a little bit harder than what Nintendo was pushing with their 3DSs and everything like that, you're gonna get you're at least gonna hook and line somebody. It's
Yeah.
gonna work with somebody, and it's still to this day still has a dedicated fan base, but the Vita was not it. They knew it was gonna fail. Sony
Yeah.
knew that the Vita was gonna fail, but they still came out with it because they knew that if they didn't come out with it, people were going to expect them to come out with another handheld. People were going to be like, "Well, where's the new version of a PSP? Like, where's your next step for handhelds? You keep doing consoles. Are you only going to do consoles now?" Well, they want to at least make some kind of money, and they still came out with a handheld and tried to at least get their money back. I think the main problem with the Vita was the price tag out of the gate.
Yeah.
It really discouraged a lot of people. That was a lot of money
And
to sink into just a handheld when a lot of phones are starting to have their own graphics chips inside of them. And with Nintendo's, I mean, sure, it might have been cheaper, but there was actually already a very large game selection. I mean, sure, some of it was complete trash,
yeah.
and I don't mean that like just to be a negative person.
Oh, no, you're
I'm
good.
talking
Yeah,
like
I
there
know.
were like 50 cooking simulator games. Like you can only go so far with that genre.
And then the dictionary game, I think they came out with like what? What was it? I forget, but I know what you're talking about. They came out like with a lot of shitty games. uh, but yeah, I, I I do realize that now. Like, but I mean, when I was like, let's see, when did that come out? 2012, I think is when the Vita came out. I think that's when it came out, and I remember seeing it on her the first time on TV. I'm like, I sort of want that. And if anybody doesn't know, I had a channel actually before this, before Survivor Commands. I say it was 3 years ago. I've had to been in 6th or 7th grade, but and now I'm a sophomore, but I had to be in 6th or 7th grade. But I remember them like showing the PlayStation Vita, and I used to or go on YouTube, and do a discussion about, and I did this I did the discussions about a lot of things even before I started this channel, and I started talking about what was cool with the Vita, everything that actually looked cool, but the only thing that didn't make me get it was the price. Because after the discussion, I started looking up like the PlayStation Vita because I wanted to get it. Uh, what was it, like $200, $300? Uh, what was it? I think it was $300. And then I'm like, oh man, I don't know if my parents are gonna actually, or if my mom will actually buy that. And my dad, or he lives in Virginia. We live down here in Kentucky. He actually bought it, but he didn't really say that he had it, and that's why I had the PS Vita now, because I technically kind of stole it, but he knows that I have it, and he actually buys games for me now. I think he just sends them down here, and I just play them. But the memory cards were like, or even now, the memory cards, and what Sony did was they made or specifically designed memory cards for the PS Vita. You can't use them anywhere else.
Yeah, that hurt them too. That definitely hurt them.
Yeah, to combat piracy. I'm like, dude, they're going to find a way to pirate the games. Trust me. And I think there already are ROMs for some of the Vita games. I'm like, it's going to happen. No matter how much you try, people are still going to get the game somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it? 16 gigabytes is like $100, and I'm like, are you out of your goddamn minds? Like, I have the 4 gigabyte memory card, and I can't hardly fit anything on there. Like, the games are like 5 gigabytes, and that's how they sell you on the PlayStation Store. The games are like 5 gigabytes each, and they want that money. It's like $100, I think, for 16. And I'm like, I'm not gonna pay you guys for 16. Yeah, I'll probably buy for the 4 gigabytes, but I ain't gonna pay for, and that's for $100 for 16 gigs, and that's actually why I buy physical games, not just because I love physical games. I really do. I love physical games. I have to have a physical copy of it because of what happened to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Oh, Jesus. And Ninja Turtles Reshelled. It takes a lot less space for it to actually get onto the system. But yeah.
You're gonna have to hold on 1 second. Oh, nope, never mind. I was getting a random phone call. That was weird. Okay, keep going.
But yeah, man, yeah, what they did to the Vita really hurt it. And I still have my Vita. I still have my portable. I actually have a 1000 and 3000 portable. Like right in my room, like in a drawer. I have both of them. I still kind of play them. I have like sort of my favorite games like Tenchu Time and Assassins, Janae Dark, man, Ratchet and Clank, Size Matters, Midnight Club, LA Remix. I have a lot of games that are my favorite from, I have a lot of favorite games from the PSP, but I still have a lot of favorite games for the PlayStation Vita, but it takes so much space to put them on to the Vita, so that's why I don't buy downloaded games anymore, unless I have to, like Hotline Miami, which that was only like 100 megabytes.
I know that um, there is some kind of way out there to increase the storage space on it, but this channel is not advocacy. It's not telling you to go pirate things or change things or anything like that. Because oh no, that would break a user agreement.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that there is a way to increase the amount of space on your Vita and to totally just work around it, because like you said yourself, there was no way that you were going to entirely stop piracy on the system, and I'm pretty sure someone out there definitely figured out a way to rig tons of memory to their Vita. But hey, if you have the know-how and you're willing to go through the trouble, it might be worth it. I mean, that's on you though.
Yeah. We're not condoning anything, but like I just feel that like now that, or I hate to say this now, but I do admit defeat. 3DS has fucking won. They
Oh yeah, it absolutely did. Even I own a 3DS. It was because I enjoyed games like original titles like Phoenix Wright, Professor Layton. Uh, I enjoyed like one or two of the One Piece games on it. There was a large library of easily accessible games that were already on this little chip that wasn't too tiny. The Vita chips were like fragile. Like when I looked at
yeah.
that thing, like I felt like even though that the DS ones were really small, I didn't really feel like I would lose it. The Vita ones were like,
Yeah. I own two memory cards. The original one that my dad actually had in the Vita when I actually took it with me down here, and then the one where I actually asked for Christmas. That was one of the things that I actually did get, and I mean, I actually never took out the memory card, and I looked online on how to get out the memory card, and I took it out. I'm like, this is the fucking memory card. Like, I have to have specific places for the memory card to be so I won't lose it. I mean, it's like probably 2 millimeters small. That, I'm not joking about that. It's like 2 millimeters. I'm like, holy shit. I can't believe I haven't lost my memory card yet. Man. But speaking about classic games, like I said, I am a Sony fan, but there's a lot of things that I like about PC and Xbox. But one of the main reasons why I like Xbox is because of backwards compatibility. Now, I own a PS4, and they're bringing back the backwards compatibility classics, but the deal is you have to throw down $15 for a fucking classic game, which I actually, not lying, I found a new Grand Theft Auto 5 from Walmart, or not Grand Theft Auto 5, sorry, 3 for the PS2, Grand Theft Auto 3, and I'm like, this is brand freaking new. I am going to buy this, and it was like $5 off the bat. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna buy this. So I bought it and went to the PS4 because I knew they had GTA 3 for $15. I'm like, all right, let's pop the disc into the to the PS4. Didn't do anything. Said, or it won't support PS2 disc. I'm like, you guys got to be shitting me. You're telling me that I actually had to pay $15 for a game that I already own. Oh my god. And I have to say this. My favorite gaming system has to be the PS2 because I played a lot of Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal is actually my favorite PS2 title, other than stuff like Def Jam Fight for New York, Mortal Kombat Armageddon, and all that stuff. But Ratchet and Clank, that was really what hit it, or that's really what I did love, and I'm actually going to go to see the new movie, see how actually true to the timeline it's actually going to get. And I'm such a fan, I even bought the collection for my Vita, and that's why I don't have that much space on it. But I have all three classic games onto my Vita. I'm like, and that was actually the only thing that I liked. But yeah, I just feel it's bullshit that we have to pay for backwards compatibility. Now I have a PlayStation 2. I have every PlayStation. The 1 box version and 2 the slim version. Or PlayStation 1 the box and slim. PlayStation 2 the box and slim. PlayStation 3 the slim is super slim. And PS4 just, yeah. I I am a PlayStation fanatic. I even have the PlayStation Portable 1000, 2000, and the Vita. So I own every console for the Sony.
My PlayStation 2 lasted so long, and I don't think, I might be wrong though. I don't think I've ever owned a Slim. I used to own a PS2 Fat,
Yeah.
and that system actually introduced me to MMOs because I played EverQuest on
Ooh.
it, and uh, man, that was one high quality system. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Like for some reason, the PlayStation 2 was durable. Like
Yeah,
it
I know.
it was so strong. It was almost as strong as like a Super Nintendo. Like all you needed to
Yeah.
do was plug it in and it worked and stuff. Every now and again, the DVD eye on it or something like that might get a little
Mm.
wonky. You
Oh,
know, you might get a disc read error, but other than that, I mean, the PlayStation 2s were just strong. And then the PlayStation 3 came out,
it
and I
was
knew,
like,
and you could upgrade the hard drive on it if you knew what you were doing. And I'm just like, wow, this is a great upgrade and stuff. But then they
yeah.
started just they really started trying, I guess, a little too hard, worrying about everything else, like especially with the online community. I mean, it's not that hard to set up, I guess, an online framework, and they started getting hacked and all this other kind of stuff, and it's like, you guys
Yeah, and that's
lost it.
actually that's why I play classics now is because we don't or back then I didn't or that's why I like the PlayStation 2 era and the PlayStation 1 because PlayStation 1 was my first system. Like I said, the first game I played was Mortal Kombat Trilogy and PlayStation 1 was my shit and then I played Xbox original and I do remember this. I did go to Virginia with my dad because he lives down there and I remember him buying Halo 2 and I played the original online for it. I didn't have the mic. I just played with the big fat controller and I remember it being so much fun, but now that online gaming has become like such a thing, I mean, granted, yes, I do a show every fucking Friday, Band Five Friday, but it's not like or back then I didn't deal with all this shit. Like I didn't have to deal with like the updating. I didn't have to deal with everything. And that's actually a problem in the gaming industry now. We're getting unfinished copies of shit. Like
Oh, very
Assassin's
much
Creed
so.
4. What Assassin's Creed was it? I think it was 4, where they actually went up on stage and they got fucked over when they showed that game. What was it? I think it was Assassin's Creed 4, yeah. And the frame rate dropped and everything, I remember when it came out and your boat was missing. I'm like, holy shit, you guys really did fuck up on this game, man.
It's not necessarily in. All right. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, it is. It is for the most part Ubisoft's fault, but the publisher, the people who give them money, like a lot of people don't understand, is that the publisher is what gives the developers money to make their game. The publisher is expecting like a return and a specific launch date. They need to meet these deadlines, and unfortunately, because of those deadlines, they can't polish a lot of their titles and stuff, and it shows. It really shows, and publishers just don't let up because they know people are a large majority of people are still going to buy it even though it's an unfinished product, and it's disappointing because you're expecting to have something that's a triple A title that's you know not necessarily the very top of the line, but like one of the best that you can find, and the most simplest of bugs are happening in it, and you don't know why, and you're expecting a finished product, and they didn't give it to you. They
Yeah.
didn't for full price, and the publishers just keep putting on this pressure to go out with this launch date to do this specific thing. It's publishers. If y'all are listening to this, ease up. Let them make their products. Stop pushing so hard. Like, you have to let the developer, uh, sort things out. You can't just keep shoving it down the throat and keep saying, look, we need it by this date now. Like, it's not gonna hurt you that much if you push back the game a week or two and just focus on fixing bugs. It's not gonna hurt you. It's not. People are still gonna buy your game.
Yeah. And about that, freaking, like, or I just remember, why everybody wonders why I play a lot of PlayStation 2 games, because I didn't have to deal with that shit. Uh, we didn't have to always have, or we didn't have the, oh yeah, we can fix it later. No, it had to be good. It had to be fucking good. And, or, like, if someone was bugged, but yeah, if someone was bugged, everything was bugged. And if it was, they had to do, like, not a patch, but they have to have a patch disc. And, yeah, I mean, we didn't have to deal with that shit. And now, these publishers are getting to now where we have to release a game every year, hence Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed. And, or, well, they stopped doing the Assassin's Creed, but you know what I mean. Where they can just just do whatever they want. They know people are going to buy it every year.
Well,
Because,
it's kind of been biting them in the ass, because now not as many people are paying for the Assassin's Creeds, because nothing really ever changes in them. And
yeah,
one of these days they're gonna wake up, and they're gonna see that their games aren't really selling as much as they used to, and they're gonna wonder why. And it's because they didn't listen. They didn't
yeah,
listen to anybody. They just they kept looking at charts.
yeah, freaking, what was it? But yeah, and it sort of has to go with the sports game as well, because, hey yo, you got that Madden. I'm sorry, I had to put that joke out there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey yo, you got that Madden. But yeah, yeah, just sports games that come out every year, and one of the prime examples that a game that comes out every year that nobody buys is NHL.
Yes.
And I hate to say this, but I actually go to the GameStop website and I see NHL for about $10, and it has a 3 out of 5. I'm like, what?
Well, NHL goes to a specific demographic, and
Yeah,
I don't know necessarily where you live, but there is like a demographic for it, and it's usually northern, I
yeah,
guess.
Canada. I live in Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's and not enough of those people play video games, I guess, in the first place. I want to assume that, at least,
yeah,
because if 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 they focused as much on hockey video games as they focus on hockey in real life, there'd be tons of sales. They wouldn't have to worry about killing it off or anything like that. But they don't. They don't care about the video games. They care about the real thing more than they care about the video games. And
yeah,
uh, so that's why those have died.
yeah.
Their demographic just isn't the same anymore. But I digress.
I mean, I used to buy the NHL games because I kind of did like it, but now it's like, I don't know, man. I'll never buy it. And my brother plays a lot of sports games, and I hate to say this, he's one of those people that buys it every goddamn year. But, yeah, it's holy shit. Like, they expect the developers to have it done in like less than a year, and a good fleshed out game. And I hate to use this example because I know you did a rant on it, Fallout 4. That took like, holy shit, 8 years. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
8 years to actually be made, and it was somewhat decent. And you can't make a decent game in under a year. You can't do it. Now, I mean, you guys can talk about that, about like some of the indie games, but who cares? You can't make a blockbuster like AAA game in under a year. It without it having a lot of problems. And these publishers just don't get it. And like you said, one day it's gonna bite them in the ass.
Yeah, it doesn't help that Bethesda doesn't really have much of a publisher to worry about because they kind of sell their games on their own with I'm not sure if they're still with ZeniMax or anything like that, but
I think they are.
Okay. But they're kind of I guess the like a parent company, you know? So they're not really going to put so much pressure on them to finish the game because they already know that tons of people are going to pay for their game anyway. So they're just like, just here's the release date, do what you can, and we'll worry about updates later.
Yeah, and one Bethesda's new games, which I am actually excited for, is Doom. I was an avid Doom player back when my mom had an old computer. I used to play Doom all the time, and I mean they kind of have it where it's going to be good. Like I feel they're gonna make it to where it's actually gonna stay true to the old Doom thing, and the fucking kills on there, I'm like, Jesus Christ, yeah, I'm probably gonna like this game.
Okay.
But if they actually pull off a Battlefront, it's gonna get really shitty for Bethesda. But yeah, just publishers, listen, guys, you don't have to rush. I don't care about the freaking pushing dates. I mean, I'm sort of waiting for Uncharted 4, and they've already pushed it 2 times. I mean, the longer we have to wait, it's probably gonna be good in the long run. It's gonna be good for everyone.
Yeah, I played Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, and from what I remember, I don't really remember a whole lot of bugs in those games. Like, there might have been like something wrong with like a trophy or something like that when I played them, but I don't really remember anything being inherently wrong with those games, and it shows. It's because they took the time to actually fix their product. Now, some people are going to say, oh, there might have been like a graphical issue here and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure that they patched that out. Uncharted's one of their babies, like that's one of the only things that's making Sony a good bit of money in game sales these days. So there's no way that they're just going to let things sit, I guess.
Yeah.
As far as Uncharted 4, yeah, I love the Uncharted series. I'm willing to see where it goes. Absolutely. And it's good that they're pushing it back. It's good to see that they realize that there are potential problems with their game and they're willing to fix it. If Bethesda did that with Fallout 4, I might not have had as much to complain about. If they actually took the time to fix a lot of the stuff that was going on, if they didn't leave so much of the work for modders to do, it almost feels like they ignored a lot of that stuff on purpose simply because they could. They just knew that people other than people that they have to pay for are gonna fix the game for them, and they're like, oh well, they're just gonna do it for free. So
Or speaking about Naughty Dog, I've been really wanting to talk to this about for a long while, and I don't think anybody or my fan base is going to watch this, but I was going to announce this in my 100 subscriber video, but I was going to do a top 10 or a couple top 10 lists, and one of them is the game franchises that I want rebooted. Like, let's see, one was Bushido Blade. And the number 1 pick I have is Crash. And whatever the fuck is going on at Activision, with Crash Bandicoot, I sort of like it. I'm not gonna lie, I sort of like it because they deleted the page for Crash Bandicoot. They removed everything for him, and that's actually making me and countless PlayStation fans think that Crash is actually going to come back. And if it does, if they're actually working on Crash Bandicoot, I am going to probably freak out because I mean I don't know about anybody, but I think it was the second game I've ever played was Crash Bandicoot 1, and I loved the platforming in that, even though it was sort of hard. I loved Crash Bandicoot. I loved it to death, and if Naughty Dog gets the right to that back, I'm actually going to be really excited, and I think everybody will as well, because we don't see, or that's another thing that's happening in the gaming industry, is that we don't see these games coming back. We don't see our beloved game characters coming back. We just see rehashes of everything, and we don't get anything original. And I remember watching the commercials with Crash Bandicoot going up to Nintendo and telling how the PlayStation 1 was better. I remember that. But yeah, I just love Crash Bandicoot, and I wish they would, or Naughty Dog would get the rights to him back, and I wish more companies would take more care of their beloved characters. Like Nintendo, fucking take a break off of Mario for once. Sega, take a break off of Sonic, for fuck's sake. Oh,
That's
Jesus,
not gonna happen.
Sonic Boom was fucking terrible. Holy shit. But I mean, just I want these characters to come back, like, and these games to come back, like Bushido Blade, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, fucking who else did I say should come, or what other game? Like Def Jam, fucking I know EA said they won't do another remaster, but fucking make a game like Def Jam Fight for New York. That is actually one of the most beloved fighting games of any damn generation. Like, holy damn. I mean, Capcom, if you're going to make the Resident Evil 2 remake, do it right. Do it like you did with Resident Evil 1. And I know this is a lot to ask, but I just really want Resident Evil to be good again. I want them to change the whole goddamn storyline to where it is more survival horror. Now, the only game
that's asking for a lot.
Yeah, I know. But the only game I do feel that should have been action-oriented was, I hate to say that, but Operation Raccoon City. That game actually was not half bad to me. Because it actually did feel like it should have been an action game. You were supposed to be, Umbrella. And I really did like the evacuation multiplayer, and it was all around a really good game. I didn't have any problems with it. The story was actually pretty good, except for Nemesis' voice. That's the only problem I have with the game. But yeah, it felt like an action game, and if you guys can do more of that, please do it. Like, make good games for fuck's sake. Like, stop doing these rehashes and shit.
Well,
Like,
it's because people keep buying them. It's because people keep buying them. They're not going to listen to anyone about it being a good game if they know that people are just actually going to keep paying for the previous versions that were good games, except now they have HD graphics and stuff. It's just how it is.
What was it? Call of Duty. Holy shit! I have to say, after Modern Warfare 3, that's when shit started to hit the fan. What was it? Fuck. I remember playing like the old Call of Duties, like Finest Hour. My favorite shooter games are Call of Duty, World at War, and Modern Warfare 2. Those games were phenomenal. Holy crap, man. I love those games. But now it's like, futuristic, and now I think they're even going to space. Like, what are you anymore? You guys were like World War II games, and now you guys are just nothing. You're fucking nothing. I'm like, I I heard like Battlefield is now going back to um World War II, and I feel that they should have done that. Um, and yeah, let's see. Another problem with gaming industry. Holy shit. Early access actually. Holy fuck. I will never buy one of those ever again. Oh my god. I bought the standalone DayZ like I think 2 years ago. That was the buggiest fucking shit I've ever played. Holy crap. I would walk under the stairs through the house. Like I would be inside the floor in the house searching for shit. Uh I we just need to stop buying these games that are not even complete at all. And if you guys really do need money, start up a fucking Kickstarter for God's sakes. Like, I know many companies, like, prime example, Friday the 13th. Now, they've started up a Kickstarter, and now they're having a slasher back, and that's actually a game that I'm going to buy. And it's some sort of new. It's sort of, and that's what everybody's excited for. It's a beloved franchise going with some sort of original. Oh man. I just can't wait till Friday the 13th actually comes out because I do know it's going to be a good game. With all the dedication to what they're doing, yeah, it's going to be a really good game. What do you think? Holy shit.
I wouldn't necessarily tell them to start a. I wouldn't necessarily tell them to start like a Kickstarter or anything like that, but I definitely would suggest that they'd open their ears a little bit more and then try and focus on making a product that a large majority of their strong fan base can really enjoy, and instead of focusing on following current fads to the extent that it would entirely change the idea of your game, you should at least listen to what people would think would make your game fun instead of focusing on stupid irrelevant stuff like Tracer's ass.
Yeah.
Focus on more stuff that actually makes your game a game and stop focusing on just current little internet trends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with that, I'm actually really hungry, and I want to get something to eat. So I really appreciate you coming on the show, talking to me about video games. You have very strong opinions. A lot of people who subscribe to my channel have very strong opinions about video games. We don't hate video games. We don't hate people. We just tired of this I guess this industry catering to the squeaky wheel, the loud people that just complain about every little thing, and they get what they want, and it just changes the original experience for all of us. And maybe we need to start going on Twitter and stuff and just being extremely loud and annoying with all caps turned on. And maybe they'll start listening to us.
Yeah, and for anybody that actually is from my channel watching this, please subscribe to Bob Boom. He makes some of the most best arguments and rants that I can't even freaking think of.
I really do appreciate that. I've never really heard anyone tell me that, but I appreciate that. Every now and again, I see like subs go up and go down a little bit. Like recently, I went over 150, and I was like, awesome, cool. I mean, it wasn't enough to where like I was gonna make a new video or anything yet. But I mean, all right, cool. I'm over 150, and then it goes back to 149. I was like, oh okay. I was like, but I don't turn on commercials or anything like that. If you guys want to listen to anything interesting as far as like, I guess, video game rants and maybe some other weird things. I also have some weird stories and stuff like that. You know, definitely subscribe to my channel. If you're looking for Mortal Kombat, if you're definitely a fan of fighting games, definitely check out Survived Combatant's channel, and I'm gonna leave a link to his channel in the description.
And
But definitely do it.
if anybody, if you guys don't know like what I'm talking about when I said that GameStop was a bunch of greedy little shits, go to his fucking channel. Like, holy shit, I've heard a lot of his stories, and they sound like fucking Vietnam flashbacks. Like, holy goddamn, like the shit that they've done to him, to his oh god, this fucking sneaker kid. But like the shit that they've done to their employees, it's really even I wanted to apply for GameStop, and so did my friends. And then I started getting into Bob Booms, and I think my first video was the Japanese, and he had a video called GameStop Rant. I'm like, huh, I'm actually gonna watch this. And I realized the true horrors about it, and yeah, I'm like, alright guys, new plan, we're not working for fucking GameStop.
Look, if you're just looking for like a summer job, whatever. A summer job's a summer job. You're there just to make some quick cash before you go back to school or whatever. But if you're actually looking there to try and work there full time or become a manager, avoid it at all costs. It is not worth it. And I think we could kind of think we kind of burnt out. Man, everyone always talks about that GameStop video. It's got like over 3,000 views, but I think we can finally end it on that note. Again, I appreciate you for coming on here and talking. If any other fans out there want to chat with me about video games and the video game industry or pretty much anything in general, I'm more than happy to. Just send me a message and I'll try and get to it. So thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to me, and don't forget to subscribe to Survival Combatants, and have a good one.
See you, bros.